Candace struggled to hold in her laughter. Come on, Mr. Go to the gym. Open the door. I used all my strength, but our new shed's entrance remained tightly shut. Would a saw help, she asked. Sure, a saw would work, except none of the few I owned could do the trick. Candace suggested asking her father for help, her usual go-to solution in any predicament, but I was determined to prove to my fiancé that I had everything under control. Naturally, I reached out to my own father for advice. He suggested trying a crowbar. I've been at that for over a half hour, I told him. He offered to come over and check out the situation in a few days. When I inquired about a saw capable of cutting through steel, he too proposed I ask Candace's father. Call it foolish pride, but once again I declined. I recognized I needed help, but I was weary of relying on the same source all the time. Instead, I decided to call my ex-boss's son. He was a carpenter with an extensive tool collection. We scheduled for him to visit the next day after work. He assured me he could easily remove the door, only charging a plate of food and a beer as payment. Tyler arrived on time as Candace finished cooking. Still, the shed remained tightly sealed after an hour of his efforts. He joined us for dinner, acknowledging our appreciation for his attempt. However, Tyler insisted he wasn't finished and had more tricks up his sleeve. After the meal, he left my house but vowed to return soon. I suggested waiting until another day due to the setting sun, but Tyler was determined to keep his word. Around 8:30 that evening, while I watched the game on TV, a large pickup truck pulled up with a construction vehicle on a flatbed trailer. Neighbors emerged from their homes as Tyler maneuvered the skid loader up to the shed. Then with precision, he hooked the bucket under the door and effortlessly ripped it off like paper. I always finish my jobs on time, he boasted. After grabbing flashlights from the house, we went to explore what had remained unseen for years. The previous owners had lived there for over a decade without ever managing to open the shed. I entered first, shining my light around as Candace and Tyler followed. The room was dusty and mostly empty, except for a pile of clothes and boots lying on the floor. Given the difficulty of breaking in, I half expected to find hidden treasure, but at least we had gained additional storage space. There's never too much of that. After handling Tyler a few more beers, he was on his way, and I hurried back inside to catch the rest of the game. The next morning proceeded as usual, with us going to work and Candace returned home before me in the afternoon. But the panicked phone call that followed caught me off guard. She claimed we had overlooked something horrible the night before. Being skeptical, I brushed it off as an exaggeration until she sent a photo as proof. Where was this at, I asked. In the shed, she replied. Thinking she was playing a prank on me, I wasn't convinced even after seeing the photo, so I told her I would deal with it when I got home and ended the call. When I arrived at the house, I headed straight to the backyard. Candace walked outside to meet me. Without delay, we entered the shed and my eyes immediately went to the ceiling. Are you saying you didn't put that up there, I asked. Why would I do that, she replied. Well, that is bizarre, I said. Candace nodded in agreement. Do you think we should call the police? For what, I started. Clearly there wasn't anyone in here. I reached up and unhooked the noose from the ceiling, explaining to Candace that the previous owners probably left this stuff as a prank. She just stared back at me, clearly unconvinced. Regardless, the rope and the old clothes were headed for the trash, and my thoughts shifted to more important matters, specifically if there was enough space for a pool table in there. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to find out. Just 2 days later, an overnight thunderstorm drenched my town. For the first day or so, Candace and I weren't too concerned by the slight discoloration. But as we began moving storage boxes out to the shed, there were large patches of rust that were impossible to miss. Within a few more days, those patches rapidly turned into holes, leaving Candace and I completely baffled. The sturdy fort-like structure that had stood strong for years was now starting to resemble a house of straw. Finally, my father came for his visit. When he saw the shed, he joked that even a toddler could easily break in. We recounted to him what we had found inside and tried to explain how sturdy the shed had been before, but Dad just laughed. The next week, I invited Tyler back. This time, he brought a helper with him. 2 hours later, our new storage space lay in pieces stacked high in a rented dumpster. In an instant, the shed was gone, leaving only the photo Candace sent as evidence of its existence, and any mystery that might have persisted remained uncovered. Over the next few months, my fiance and I both experienced strange dreams, and although the details varied, our dreams always took place in our backyard. We decided to plant a garden where the old shed had stood. However, after a summer of no results, the sporadic, subtle messages began to make sense. It seemed we had disturbed an energy beyond our understanding, and we eventually chose to put the whole episode behind us, believing that life already presented enough challenges without seeking out more. But our new neighbors have 3 sons, who all are very curious about the rectangular patch on our land where grass won't grow, and where their dogs stay far away from. The boys keep asking if they can help me start digging, convinced some type of treasure is buried there. My fiance, of course, has always opposed this idea. However, since I never got my pool table, I might just settle for an actual in-ground pool instead. I think I'll discuss it over with Candace's father and see if he can talk some sense into her.